You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. We got a lot to talk about on the program today, and all news is fake news. It really is, including the weather. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about the massive tropical storm. They were even calling it a cyclone, which I've never heard them refer to Florida storms as before, that was hitting Florida. And we did a lot of, we've been through a lot of hurricanes, Kathy and I. Kathy's native Floridian, and I've lived here almost all my life. We've been through many, many hurricanes and tropical storms. The media was hyping this tropical storm up so much, we even have sandbags on the side of our house. We had one part of our house, because they were talking about 8 inches, 9 inches of rain. And on one side of our house, we've had flooding in past hurricanes. So we got some sandbags on one side of our house. We filled up all of our cars and some containers of gasoline that we have for the generator at great expense because of the Biden gas prices. Yeah. And they told us, the media, the local news and the Weather Channel were just total meltdown. And when I went to bed last night, when I fell asleep last night, I didn't really go to bed. I just kind of sat down and fell asleep. I didn't really plan.
Yeah, we were watching Stranger Things, and but Brian never finishes a show.
No, but the last time I saw the weather report last night, it was just total freakout time. So I got up extra early this morning. It's Saturday morning. Right. I woke up at about 4 a.m., and I just did my final prep because the rain's coming in. So I made sure the sandbags were okay, got everything set, because I was expecting wind and rain and thunder and lightning. And basically we had some rain.
It was, well,
windless
let me give
rain.
It a little context here. The
windless
storm,
rain.
Right. The storm was a big storm, but it was very disorganized. They did say that, but I watched the Weather Channel till 11 o'clock last night, and it was in Miami. It was over southern Miami, and they did get a lot of flooding because I saw video. They did, and my sister lives there in Miami. They did get a lot of flooding, but Miami probably, a lot of the neighborhoods in Miami are very, very old.
Yeah, falling apart.
And they don't have the proper drainage.
Yeah.
And they're very, very...
They always flood on a regular day.
They always flood, even in normal rainstorms. Same with Hollywood, Florida has horrible flooding. It's been that way since the 70s because they just are old neighborhoods and they don't have the proper drainage. And they build the condos right next to the ocean.
The local news in Miami know the couple of streets that flood, so they send their news crews over there.
It's the same streets Al Gore talked about the fish
exactly
swimming. But then they kept saying on the Weather Channel, it's really going to hit, Fort Lauderdale and Palm Beach. It's really going to and they just kept hammering that in. So they said it's going to hit at 4 o'clock in the morning. So I really was nervous to go to sleep last night because I was like, I'm going to wake up and it's going to be torrential rains and wind and the house is going to flood and all this horrible stuff. And I woke up and I look out the window. It's this light little drizzle. And I'm like, there's no thunder. And there wasn't even thunder and lightning.
Usually,
and no wind.
With storms like this, the way they're hyping it in the local news and on the Weather Channel, I take our garbage cans, I put them in the garage.
It's a big job.
I didn't do any of that. I didn't bring in the garbage cans or our lawn furniture. And our empty garbage cans didn't even get knocked over by wind. I will say this, though. One of our lawn chairs did get knocked over on its side.
Oh, my goodness.
This was such a big nothing. And, the reason...
The last hurricane we had, we lost 2 trees. That was a big deal.
Yeah, but that was years ago. The reason that, even the weather is fake news is to keep you watching. Florida has a large population. There's over 25 million Floridians, and we have tourists here, and so there's I don't know 30 million people maybe in Florida, and if they're all worried about this storm, they're all going to be watching the local news and the Weather Channel.
Oh yeah.
And if you notice on the Weather Channel, they have more commercials than any other TV channel.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
So
every 5 minutes.
So they hype up.
Yeah.
Weather they shouldn't be hyping up to get you to watch because they have so many commercials over there.
It got me to watch.
Yeah, and it really altered. I didn't even do, on Saturday mornings, I typically do a live stream. I did not do a live stream on YouTube from my home studio today because 9, 10 o'clock, we were supposed to have this massive cyclone tropical storm. And I said, you know what, I need to make sure everything's prepared and we got all that we need and everything else. So I didn't.
Yeah, we were expecting something much.
Yeah, so I didn't. And then it's just been drizzling. And I was like, this is ridiculous. But hey, listen, maybe Ron DeSantis has a weather control machine or something. I don't know. But it was a big nothing, fake news. Weather news is fake news too. All right.
That's true.
Now.
Oh, they're really pushing on the Weather Channel. They have a bunch of new shows coming up. They're getting into like shows that you'd see more on other types of, reality show type things and stuff. And they're really,
like
it's a
When
lot.
Weather Kills, right?
And they have one show, a deep sea salvage rescue. And they show a clip of it, and there's like a boat in like 3 feet of water that they're trying to rescue. I don't know how that's deep sea.
So they're trying to get into like,
and they talk a lot about climate change,
regular programming.
I like the Weather Channel, but and it drives Brian nuts because during hurricane season, I watch it a lot when there's a hurricane, and I get mad if he changes the channel. But they do have way too many commercials. If you watch it for 30 minutes. Time it. I did it once. They literally have a commercial every 7 minutes, and the commercials last 3 minutes long. Yeah. It's so aggravating.
Yeah, and that's why they hype up the fake one. Okay, so Joy Reid over on MSNBC, I'm going to play a bit of a segment. They're talking about Ron DeSantis, and in this Joy Reid segment on MSNBC yesterday, they referred to the great governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, who's a perfect governor.
He is perfect.
He
is
a
perfect person.
He is the best governor in the history of American governors. I don't mean just Florida governors. I mean of all governors. There has never been a governor as good and as accomplished as Ron DeSantis. And
I concur.
The left hate him because they know he's going to be president one day, and
they're scared to death.
They hate him. So Joy Reid did this segment. They're talking about Ron DeSantis, and in this segment, I'm going to play the audio. In this segment, they refer to him as the Grand Wizard of the Republican Party, which is, of course, a Klan reference. And so let me play this. This is Joy Reid with a panel of hate mongers. Their names are not important, but they're talking about Governor Ron DeSantis, who just got us through this tropical storm, right? Listen.
Gone after everyone. He's gone after the Tampa Bay Rays for daring to go against him on guns, so speaking out against him.
Okay, now the Tampa Bay Rays, he's gone against the Tampa Bay Rays. The Tampa Bay Rays wanted the Florida taxpayers to pay for a new stadium.
$35 million.
Yeah, so, and they're attacking, they're getting political and attacking the Second Amendment, and Ron DeSantis said, pay for your own stadium.
Here's the deal with that, and I was thinking about it. What maybe they don't understand. Ron DeSantis is an elected official. As an elected official, it is his job to push what the people that elected him want to do and to push his ideas. And he wants to protect the Second Amendment because that's what he was elected to do. He's a conservative. He's not Beto. He was elected to protect the things that we care about, the people that elected him, and that's what he is doing. And when you have some second-rate team that wants $35 million of the taxpayers' dollars, which I don't get, but I guess they bring in revenue, to pay for this new stadium, and they're going to come out and attack what he's there to represent and to help preserve.
Well,
why should he give them our
money? There's this thing
Screw
that started, I don't know when this started, but this thing that started where states, cities, and counties started paying for professional sports teams' stadiums, and it's a big payoff. The politicians take money out of it and everything. And all he said was, pay for your own stadium.
By the way, what's worse, Ron DeSantis not paying for a stadium or Joe Biden denying kids lunch because schools won't teach CRT?
Exactly.
Who's the bigger a-hole here?
All right, so let's get back to this. Joy Reid, they're talking about DeSantis.
Gone after everyone. He's gone after the Tampa Bay Rays for daring to go against him on guns, so speaking out against him. The man is on a tear. He's gone after the Special Olympics.
Okay, let me tell you about that. Okay, he's gone after the Special Olympics. What happened with the Special Olympics is they had a vaccine mandate.
Right.
And, of course, they're coming to Florida for the Special Olympics. And Ron DeSantis said that the state of Florida would not support the Special Olympics unless they lifted the vaccine mandate. And guess what? They lifted it and everything was fine.
This is what a true leader does. Trump did the same thing with NATO and these other people.
Yeah.
He said, if you want my money, if you want my help.
Well, it's not his money. It's Florida.
What I mean,
Florida
the taxpayers' dollars. Same with Trump. If you want the taxpayers' dollars, then, I'm just not going to give it to you if you're going to, go after things you shouldn't be going after.
Joy Reid's making it sound like he went after the mentally challenged children.
Please.
He actually was helping them because many of them are not vaccinated and would not be able to participate in this. But anyway, back to the Joy Reid.
Him on guns, so speaking out against him. The man is on a tear. He's gone after the Special Olympics. Is there any way to stop this? He's gone.
Is there any way to stop this? He's the elected governor of the state of Florida. Mm-hmm. He's up for re-election. They got this idiot Democrat, Nikki Reid, running against him. If you want to stop him,
awful.
Get your Democrat to beat him, which ain't going to happen. Anyway, back to, is there any way to stop this elected official?
For the Special Olympics. Is there any way to stop this? He's gone after trans kids. It's a full-on...
He has not gone after trans children. What he said was...
Oh, my goodness.
This is what Ron DeSantis did, okay? He didn't go after trans children.
No.
With trans... It's like a car, Trans Am, right? He didn't go after trans children. What he said is that sex education and gender discussion in curriculum is not permitted in Florida schools until after the 3rd grade, right?
He's protecting children. He's protecting parents' rights.
So from 4th grade all the way up through 12th grade in the public schools, you can do all your gender stuff and all this stuff. He's just saying from all the way up just to 3rd grade, you can't talk about all this stuff. He's not going after anyone.
Right.
But, back to Joy Reid here. She's the one that went after people with, remember all those homophobic comments?
Yeah.
That she got busted for making online years ago?
Is there any way to stop this? He's gone after trans kids. It's a full-on war at this point against anyone who opposes him.
Joy, you ask the most important question because for 246 years in this country, the answer to that question, is there any way to stop this, would have been, well, yes, you can stop it at the ballot box this November. I'm not so sure that even if the will of the voters calls to end this madness that's happening in Florida, it would come to pass because Florida, I don't think, is a democracy anymore. I think if Florida is truly an authoritarian state modeled after Hungary or Bonn, where, by the way, the Conservative Political Action Committee had their conference this year, because in Ron DeSantis, they are trying to establish that type of authoritarian leader who will eventually run for president of the United States.
We can only hope.
Well, he's right about that last part. He will eventually run for president after President Trump's 2nd term. But not only is he an elected official who's incredibly popular, right now he's running for re-election. And a lot of these high-profile things he is doing, like taking away Walt Disney's municipal status with that Reedy Creek thing and everything, he's also campaigning while doing the right thing, doing the thing that the people of Florida want him to do.
And helping his wife beat cancer.
Yeah, she does beat cancer. By the way,
and have 3 small children. I mean, the guy's a superhero, but it's amazing because Ron DeSantis, when somebody accused him of being a dictator a few weeks ago, he said, why the hell is everybody moving here if I'm such a dictator? It's the freest state in the union.
Yeah,
what
that doesn't make sense.
They're coming here for freedom. We have had so many people move here. They're selling like 1,000 homes a day. They said in the last year, like 100,000 people have moved to Florida since COVID. Mm-hmm. And they're all registering Republican. That is what is scaring them to death, but they're never going to see that.
Mm-hmm. All right, back to this. Again, this is Joy Reid's show last night talking about Ron DeSantis.
Absolutely. And Dean, I mean, there's a model for that. It's called Texas, which is also not a small D Democratic state. Even with, it is.
I love this. Any place, any state that the Democrats don't control, it's only because it's not a free state and there's no democracy there. If there was true democracy, the Democrats would run all of the 50 states.
Of course.
Very hard to vote. It is very hard to dislodge this minority rule leadership. And
it's not hard to vote in Florida, okay? I get off work, I go to the polling place, I walk in, I vote, I walk out.
I don't know how they push this narrative. And this is like when they had in Georgia, they had record number of voting, but Stacey Abrams is still going on TV saying they're suppressing votes.
Yeah, exactly.
almost doesn't matter what the people there want. Florida is the same thing, and the Republican Party is trying to roll that out nationwide.
We're going to be seeing refugees from Florida seeking freedom coming to New York.
God,
and you're welcome.
Okay, refugees from Florida going to New York.
This is a guy who's just talking out of his.
Now, let me ask you this: as I drive around Florida, I see New York plates all the time. There's New York plates everywhere. Now, those of you that live in New York, when is the last time you've seen a car driving anywhere in New York State with Florida plates on it?
Never. In fact, I've seen something recent lately that I've never seen. I've seen plates from California, and that's a new thing. Usually,
you don't see that
New
often.
York plates are nothing new down here.
You see a lot of
New York plates, Pennsylvania. That's nothing new down here. There's a lot of people from the Northeast that come here eventually, but I've seen plates from California, a few here and there, and that is definitely new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The party's trying to roll that out nationwide.
We're going to be seeing refugees from Florida seeking freedom coming to New York, and you're welcome here. We'd like to have you here in our state. Look, they're making it DeSantis stand. It's going to be
that DeSantis stand.
Who would want to go to New York where crime is so bad? Some guy was standing at a bus stop the other day. And he almost got stabbed to death.
So
there's crime is rampant in New York.
So
City
this thing said in Florida we call. Everyone in Florida calls Florida Ron DeSantis is free Florida.
That's right.
That's what we all call it here now. Everyone calls it Ron DeSantis is free Florida. But he just called it to Joy Reid, this guy from New York, DeSantis stand, which is a reference to Afghanistan, meaning that the Taliban are running Florida.
Whatever.
And it's what,
that's just stupid.
And it's what Kathy said a few minutes ago. Florida, there is more migration from the other states to Florida for the freedoms of Florida because we're so free. This is not the Taliban. And if the Taliban are so bad, why did Joe Biden just give them an army and an air force and a whole country that we rebuilt a few months back? All right, back to this.
He's from Florida seeking freedom coming to New York, and you're welcome here. We'd like to have you
Nobody wants to go
in
there.
our state. Look, they're making it DeSantis stand. It's going to be the worst Disney ride ever where he runs it. He is banning books, banning Black history, banning Satan.
Excuse me. He is not.
This guy is so stupid.
He is not banning books, and he's not banning Black history. Okay, there is a process. There's a committee with the state, just like in every other state in the country, where textbook companies go to sell textbooks. And they go to the company with these companies send salespeople and representatives to the state book committee and say, hey, listen, we want to sell you textbooks. These are our textbooks. And the committee either says yes or no to them. Exactly. They said no to a whole bunch of books. That's not banning books.
No. Standard practice.
And Black history, we have Black History Month, and it's taught, okay? And let's get back to this. He's going to say some other things that DeSantis isn't doing either, claiming that he's doing it in DeSantis-stan.
The worst Disney ride ever where he runs it. He is banning books, banning Black history, banning saying the word gay.
Okay. He's banning saying the word gay. I am in Florida right now.
That's just not true.
Okay. Kathy is in Florida. We are both, I am speaking to you from Florida where Joy Reid show just said Ron DeSantis has banned the word gay. I just said gay, and I just said gay again. It's not banned. You can say gay.
And you know what else is going on right now?
Gay.
What's going on right now in Florida this weekend?
Well, right now, as we speak, in the state that Joy Reid show says Ron DeSantis has outlawed the word gay, even though I've said it like 5 times. Right now at Walt Disney World in Orlando, it's Disney Gay Day weekend.
That's right.
It's Disney Gay weekend right now.
They call it Gay Days. It's going on this weekend
they have
in
signs.
Florida.
Yeah, that's right. It's Gay Days right now. You can say gay.
Yeah. You can even have Gay Days in Disney, in Florida. They're just stupid
These people just make it up.
They do.
They just make this up.
I feel like this is a segment where they don't know what to talk about, and they pull out their little box of villains. Oh, who can we badmouth today?
Yeah.
There's no story. There's nothing newsworthy. So they pull out their DeSantis card, and it's just filled with attacking him. He's racist.
Mm-hmm.
He's this. They're all boring talking points, blah, blah, blah. Everybody is so sick of hearing this crap. Yeah. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Well, I'm not sick of it. I've got more to play here from
Yeah.
this. But anyway, back to it. Joy Reid.
He runs it. He is banning books, banning Black history, banning saying the word gay, banning hormone therapy for transgender teens, which is just cruelty because parents have to agree to it. The studies have shown that
parents have to agree to. See, this is okay. He did not ban hormone therapy in Florida. By the way,
this guy's just a liar.
I promote hormone replacement pellet therapy with Dr. Mitch Matez at the Bayou Station, and I'm a patient of Dr. Mitch Matez. Yeah. The guy, he messed up on his little liberal fantasy talking points there. Ron DeSantis did not ban hormone therapy for teenagers. He said that a teenager cannot get hormone therapy without parental consent. And I don't know of any medical procedure that a kid can get without parental consent.
Exactly.
If you have a child anywhere in America today, and it's always been this way, they cannot give them an asprin without parental consent. Oh, you can get it. In Florida, you can get abortion without parental consent.
Okay, well, there you go.
Unfortunately,
they have that. So,
but when it comes, they do have to tell the parents though. They do have to tell. They have parental notification law we have here in Florida, but you cannot give an aspirin to a minor without parental permission. So why should you be able to give them transgender hormone therapy without parental permission? That's insane.
I remember when Emily was in school, and even when we were in school here, if you wanted to give Emily, like if she said, an
aspirin,
said I have a headache, and I could not give her Tylenol to take to school.
That's right.
I'd have to give it to the school, give it to the nurse.
Fill out paperwork.
They'd have to come call her to the office. I couldn't just give her a bottle of Tylenol to take into her backpack. She would have gotten in trouble for that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
It's just cruelty because parents have to agree to it. The studies have shown that teens who are transgender will get hormone therapy 40% less likely to commit suicide or a suicide attempt. He knows that. He doesn't care. It's cruelty. It's the idea, like Trump, the idea, let's prey on those who are vulnerable instead of helping them. And the base, which talks about being pro-life, doesn't care about the sanctity of life. They don't care about children. They don't care about people in need. So look, I'm worried. I look at Florida. I look at Ron DeSantis being groomed to be the next grand wizard of the GOP on a national level. And we should all be alarmed by what him trying to do in Florida nationally. Very alarming.
Okay, so then at the end he says being groomed to be the grand wizard of the GOP, and I guess
groomed by whom?
I guess that Donald Trump is the current grand wizard of the GOP.
Oh my God.
And Donald Trump is a groomer of Ron DeSantis, and of course the grand wizard of the GOP means that he's the leader of the Ku Klux Klan.
Though the one who really does know the grand wizard is Biden.
Oh, my goodness.
He actually was friends with a grand wizard, and Trump does not know any grand wizards. It just shows you on the left how desperate they are getting when this guy just is all over the place. He's a horrible guest. I mean, even for a liberal, he's really bad.
Joy Reid loves him.
He's a horrible guest. He throws so many things out there. Most of what he says isn't true. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But when they pull these race cards and all this stuff and try to use fear tactics and scare you, because they know they're losing. They know they're in big trouble in November. And in 2024, they're in bigger trouble.
That's right. Now, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there is a lot more to talk about. Do not go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We will be back right after this.
Are you looking for a memorable Father's Day gift for your dad or husband? The new book from author M.J. Connor. M, available on Amazon, is the perfect gift that the father in your life will love to read. In M, meet Justin Roberts. He's a doctoral student, an expert in Hitler's National Socialism. Justin discovers a mysterious World War II journal smuggled out of East Germany. Inside, the author ingeniously inserted a coded message meant only for the free West. He enlists the help of a secret network of Cold War spies to solve the code and decipher the message. The stakes are raised when Justin receives a startling warning. He flees and is pursued by an assassin in a heart-stopping race for survival. When Justin's solution is later questioned, he elicits help from pharmacist Dr. Angela Keenan. In a shocking twist, their stories converge, and a plot to create a power vacuum in the United States government is uncovered. With only a few hours before the coup, Angela and Justin must escape the assassin and save the victims. What happens next is thrilling and heart-pounding. M, from author M.J. Connor, is available on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover editions. This is a great gift for Father's Day. Order your copy right now. Are your pants falling down? There is a solution. Skinny Clip, available on Amazon and skinnyclip.com. Belts are bulky, uncomfortable, and expensive. Skinny Clip replaces the belt. Skinny Clip is an easy-to-use waistband tightener for men and women. It can easily work to tighten a belt on pants that are too loose. Skinny Clip tightens your pants without a belt. Maybe you lost some weight and you don't want to buy a new wardrobe. Maybe someone gave you clothes that you love, but they're a little too big. Skinny Clip can make them fit just right. Skinny Clip is a newly patented invention that holds up oversized pants easily and comfortably. It's easy to use too. Simply slide your waistband, twist, and hook. That's it. It works great on all types of fabric, skirts, slacks, jeans, and shorts. It's perfect for blue jeans that loosen up during the day. It's affordable and available in multiple colors. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Skinny Clip, when you're skinny for yourself. Skinny Clip is available on Amazon. Just search Skinny Clip or visit the website skinnyclip.com. CryptoBlocks DAO has been to the moon, and it's made of blocks. Inspired by Minecraft, the #1 selling game of all time, CryptoBlocks DAO is a collection of 10,000 NFTs and the blocks token that make up the DAO. Blockchains are based on decentralization, which means they're not controlled by a single central authority, like the government, and that is exactly what DAO delivers to a company or organization. CryptoBlocks DAO provides a platform that will offer an opportunity for its holders to contribute and participate in the project discussions through voting and adding real utilities to its ecosystem. To learn more, visit CryptoBlocksDAO.com. That's DAO, D-A-O. From bedrock to the moon, CryptoBlocksDAO.com.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And please make sure that you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you listen to us on. And if you don't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel. You know, I put so much content up on my YouTube channel. I live stream for 3 hours every morning on the radio. I do live streams from home, from my home studio.
You're a workaholic.
All the time. Yeah, I do. I make vlogs that I put up on my YouTube channel, like last weekend when I went to Mar-a-Lago and vlogged that. You'll see Mar-a-Lago like you have never seen it before.
Mar-a-Lago is really pretty.
Yeah, it is. And
big property.
When you go to my YouTube channel, I promise you've not seen anybody make a vlog like mine of Mar-a-Lago. I think it's the first one I've seen like mine. And I'm not just saying that because it's mine. I'm serious.
I guess Trump doesn't live in he's in New Jersey now for the
summer.
Back
and forth. He comes here.
But I guess he doesn't live in New York anymore.
No, not at Trump Tower.
He doesn't even want to live there. It's too much crime.
Exactly. Yeah, he does.
Dangerous.
He has a whole tower he doesn't want to live in. But anyway, Brian Craig on YouTube, and of course I upload the podcast there too. We are on all podcast platforms, including Spotify and Audible and every podcast platform there is. But I also upload the podcast to my YouTube channel, Brian Craig. So if you could subscribe and let all your friends know so they can subscribe too, that would be wonderful. You know, the Uvalde tragedy has almost totally disappeared from the news. And the reason that is because it's coming out now that it's the police are responsible for what happened there. You know, this monster that shot up the school a couple years ago was threatening to shoot people, and they did nothing, just like the Parkland shooter. And then the police did nothing when they got there. And if you've noticed, they've really started to back away from that Uvalde. You know, usually in a situation like this, the mainstream national media would be camped there for weeks, covering everything.
Parkland, they were there for a long time.
Oh man, yeah, and they still come here from time to time, you know, and they have not.
They had the
been
kids
in Uvalde.
They had a town hall here. They had the kids on TV. This one, they milked that for months.
Well, they got away from it real quick, and
I wonder why.
There's a couple of reasons why. One of them is, of course, we're finding out the police chief and others there were responsible. But also, I'm going to play this here from CNN. This is from CNN a couple of days ago, and I pulled off this audio, and I've not shared this anywhere. And it's a poll on gun control. And what makes the numbers you will hear in this story, what makes this interesting and significant is this was on CNN. This isn't Fox News or something or Newsmax. This is CNN, and it's a poll about gun control.
So congressional staffers will continue bipartisan talks on gun safety today. One thing you hear is that around 90% of Americans support background checks. But does that tell the whole story about how much agreement there really is? Joining me now is Harry Etten, CNN senior data reporter. Harry, when we talk about
data reporter, does he mean data? Data? He said data, it sounded like. I don't know.
Agreement, there really is. Joining me now is Harry Etten, CNN senior data reporter. Harry, when we talk about possible areas of agreement, maybe not exactly what you think.
Yeah, to me, the bigger question is, it's not just how do Americans feel about gun control, but how powerfully do they feel about it? So there's this great question from Gallup, which essentially is, are you satisfied with U.S. gun laws? And if you aren't satisfied or you're dissatisfied, do you want stricter gun laws? Do you want them to be less strict? Only 36% of Americans say they are dissatisfied and want stricter gun laws.
There you go.
Get this. 54% say they're either satisfied or they're dissatisfied and actually want less strict gun laws.
Okay, now play the rest. So
they sound like they're in shock.
Now, this is the thing about this, okay? This is how the polls have always been on gun control. Mm-hmm. People have always opposed gun control, and over half the country in this Gallup poll. The difference is CNN, they have new management, new ownership now. In the past, CNN just wouldn't share these accurate polls telling you how the American people really feel about gun control.
I've seen
they've suppressed the news.
Right, and I've seen a slight shift in CNN the last few months since they've been bought out.
Yeah.
They are telling you more than than they normally would have. Normally, they wouldn't talk about that, or they would find a way to manipulate those numbers even more. But it shows you, like what you've always said, the country's more conservative than liberals want you to think. And I can promise you it's even more conservative now over the last year after what's been going on with Biden and after the lockdowns and everything. I think the country has shifted even as a reaction to their totalitarian. Joy Reid's got a lot of nerve calling DeSantis a dictator after the way we've been treated for the last 2.5 years with these liberals in charge and shutting everybody's business at will. I mean, they got a lot of damn nerve.
Yeah. So let me go back to this. So this is what I would consider to be shock. They
sound shocked.
If you are a CNN viewer, a liberal, a Democrat, you're watching this segment on CNN, you're like, how is this possible? Because CNN has been a suppressor of news on this for a long time.
It's true.
Get this. 54% say they're either satisfied or they're dissatisfied and actually want less strict gun laws. This, to me, tells the story because it could be that you want stricter gun laws, but you're generally actually satisfied, and this 54% gives it away. Most Americans are either satisfied or they actually want less strict gun laws.
That is really interesting. So the majority here doesn't seem to want more safety measures in place.
Let's say it again.
No,
it's not sinking in.
Well, hear how he worded that? He says, the majority of Americans don't want more safety measures. They want to be less safe. No, the majority of the American people believe that having law-abiding citizens who are gun owners make them more safe, not less safe.
Exactly, but it's a matter of perspective. And
this is just spin.
That's what I mean. It's a matter of how they spin it. And how he's spinning it is they don't want to be as safe.
Yeah.
This is what's so funny. And you've said this before too. Liberals are the greatest marketers of people buying guns. Anytime they start talking about taking away your guns, people go out and buy them in droves. And crime is so bad in these liberal cities, it makes people want to go out and buy guns.
Well,
because they're like, there's so much crime, I got to protect myself. They're not doing it for me. Same thing with Uvalde and all these things where they let you down.
Gun and ammo sales right now this week are at an all-time high.
Absolutely.
And if you go to the stock market, all the stocks of the gun manufacturers are up.
Oh, yeah.
And anytime Democrats are in office, gun sales and ammo sales and gun stocks go up because they're talking about banning guns. Like right now, the hottest selling gun in America right now is the AR-15.
That's right.
Because people that I tell you, listen to this, okay? I'm even thinking about buying an AR-15 now.
Yeah, we were talking about it today.
I was looking at some different AR-15s on YouTube, and there's a couple reasons why I'm thinking about buying an AR-15. They're talking about outlawing them, which means they're going to go up in price, and they're going to, if they ban them, which you never know, if they do ban them, the ones that are in existence will be grandfathered in, but there won't be new ones. It'll drive the price up so that you can't buy them anymore. And I never really thought about an AR-15. It's not my kind of thing. I've been thinking about buying a 12 gauge for home protection, and a lot of people tell me that's a bad idea. The reason that I want a 12 gauge for home protection, and I know a lot of you are going to tell me you don't want to do this, but when you cock the 12 gauge, it makes that loud noise. That scares the hell out of people, and chances are you won't have to use the weapon once they hear that.
They'll know you mean business.
Well, they know you got a 12 gauge shotgun, and they'll run for the hills because they don't want that.
Nobody's going to live through that.
Now, the reason people are going to tell me you don't want to do that is because you toss out a shell. You lose a shot if you do that. And I understand that, but that noise is a scary noise to a home intruder. But I have not bought a 12 gauge for a couple of reasons. One of them, I went to a couple of gun stores to look at them, and the guns are so different today than I don't go to gun stores very often. Guns last forever. I've got guns. It's not often I need to go to the gun store. And I don't really go target shooting often. So, I'll go to a gun range and buy ammo, but all the guns, I don't even recognize the 12 gauges. I wanted like the old classic Remington that's got the wood, on it and everything.
They don't sell that anymore?
Well, Remington's no longer in business making these guns, but no, everything's black and everything else. But what happened with the reason I'm thinking about buying an AR-15 is I was going on YouTube looking up the history of the AR-15 because I not really thought too much about AR-15. I know they come up when there's these incidents, and they're very popular. And I did not realize the AR-15 has been around since about 1959. Yep. And there's different versions and everything since then. And I know the whole history of it now. But when I was watching people on YouTube fire the AR-15, the one thing I like about it, as opposed to the 12 gauge, is there's very little recoil. You fire off
I like that too.
A 12 gauge, and if you went out target shooting with a 12 gauge, you very well could bruise your shoulder if you fire off enough rounds. Sure. And the AR-15 has so little recoil.
Why is that?
It's just a different type of round, but the AR-15 has so little recoil. It would be better for Kathy to shoot for home protection because it doesn't have that, and because it has so little recoil, it's more accurate. Because when you got a lot of recoil, the gun shoots up. It moves, and it's not as accurate. And I wouldn't have even looked up AR-15s if the media weren't hyping them so much. And I don't know if I'm going to buy one or not. I may or I may not. And if I do, I don't even know if I'm going to tell anybody. I don't tell people really too much about the guns I own. There's a couple I talk about because I talk about them on the air. I have a 38 and a Glock 48 that I got last year, the Glock. And those are our home protection go-tos. But the AR-15 looks like a great weapon for home defense for the reasons I just shared. But anyway, back to this CNN shock poll story.
Majority here doesn't seem to want more safety measures in place. And again, on background checks, the polling says a lot of people think they're a good idea. But when you actually put it to a test on the ballot, Harry.
What I love is when you actually look and say, okay, do these polls actually follow where the voters are when they get a chance to vote on it? And back in 2016, there were two ballot measures to expand background checks. One was in Maine, one was in Nevada. Remember, both of these states are right in the middle of the national electorate, right? They were both within a point of the national presidential vote. Look what happened in Maine. Yes only got 48.2%. The ballot measure actually failed to expand background checks. The majority, 52%, said no. In Nevada, it barely passed, just with a little bit more than 50% of the vote. So you look at those polls that say background checks, 80, 90%. When you look at people actually voting on the measure, it's not anywhere close to that. It's much more of a 50-50 proposition.
Okay, if he says it's slow, 50-50, it's not 50-50. And Maine, I don't even know what they do in Maine. And Nevada, I don't know. Here's the thing.
Well, I think it's interesting because those are blue states.
There are background checks on gun purchases. There's federal background checks. Some states don't have the waiting period, which I didn't realize. In Florida, we have a 5-day waiting period unless you're a concealed weapon permit holder. But in many states, Texas is one, there's no waiting period. I did not know that. And I think a waiting period is a good idea. I know a lot of you don't. But the reason I think a waiting period is a good idea is so somebody doesn't get hot-headed. Like today's Saturday. If I went out and purchased a gun today,
No, I think it's fine.
it's 5 business days, so they would probably process it on Monday. If I went to the gun store today, I probably would not be able to pick the weapon up until a week from Monday. So you know what I mean? And I think a cooling off period in case there's a problem.
Yeah, because there are people
know.
that buy things and when they're probably not being completely rational.
Well, yeah, exactly. And so that I do support a waiting period. Sometimes it's called a cooling off period.
And I think they should raise the age for these AR-15s. That's the weapon of choice for these school shooters, and they're all around 18 years old. I think they should raise that age to 25. I mean, that's how I feel about it because
I don't know.
These are young men. They're immature, mentally ill, and maybe by the time they're 25, their brains would calm down a little bit and they'd be a little more matured but all these guys are around the same age. They're all like 18, 19.
The age restrictions on guns are only to purchase them. If you're 18, you can possess any weapon. In fact, you can possess a gun when you're under 18.
Well, this kid went out and bought them, and maybe it would be but I honestly feel all that's good and done. And like I said, they have drugs that are illegal. That doesn't stop people from doing drugs. So I don't know how effective, like you said, these laws are because people can still get a hold of them some way. If somebody's determined to do it, they'll do it. I think the best deterrent is like Trump, peace through strength. And here they've been interviewing people, after the Parkland shooting, they totally revamped their system in Broward County with how they handle school shooters. And they've been talking about on the news. And like you had a guy that called in the radio show a week or so ago. They have this new thing, these school marshals. They're like air marshals, and they're specifically trained to deal with school shooters, and they're trained to shoot and kill the school shooter. And they also had a guy on the local news the other day. He said, we now have a different protocol. We no longer wait for tactical. The police are trained to go in immediately and not wait for backup. We don't do that anymore. And I think the more you get that message out and you get the message out that schools are strong, that they're going to not mess around, that they're going to be tougher, that is the way to deter these crimes. Banning guns and all that is not going to stop these lunatics.
In Broward County, which is where the Parkland school was located, I got a call on the radio about a week or so ago from a guy who's one of these school marshals in Broward County. He's a retired police officer, got recruited to become a school marshal. And he's armed in the school, special training for active shooter events. And he said part of the training is to prepare you to shoot 10-year-old children if they come into school with a gun. And right now there's that Florida sheriff who put that 10-year-old kid, not just perp walked him and released his mugshot, they have him in a jail cell.
Florida's not messing around anymore.
I was reading a story yesterday that he's been in his cell crying and bawling for his mommy and everything. And some of these lady news people are like, oh, this is awful and everything.
No, you have to be tough and you have to give the impression that you are not going to tolerate this anymore.
It's not so much about this kid, it's to scare other kids.
Right, exactly.
That this behavior is not acceptable.
Like they said, the guy they were interviewing on the news, he said, we have a zero tolerance policy for anybody making threats, for anybody joking about it, for anything to do with this. And that is the way to handle it. You have to let the community know that it is not tolerable. They're not going to put up with it. Anybody who jokes about it, who makes any reference to it at all, will be immediately detained, arrested, and the whole family will be investigated and looked into. And that's the way you have to handle it. They have to stop letting these kids, they don't discipline these kids in school. They're so afraid of the parents suing them or getting upset that they have no discipline anymore. And they're so afraid of being called racist or being called names that they just don't. So they're finally in Florida, at least, putting an end to this woke nonsense.
That's right. Now, after the show today, I'm going to go online to mypillow.com, use our promo code KANE, Kane, at checkout, and I'm going to take advantage of this incredible, what Mike Lindell is calling the blowout sale of the year on the My Pillow, My Slippers. Now, this sale will be ending without notice. The regular price on the My Pillow, My Slippers, I have a pair of My Pillow, My Slippers. I'm actually wearing them now. And the ones I currently have are the fur-lined tan moccasin My Pillow, My Slippers. And I'm going to, after the show today, buy a pair of the slip-on tan My Pillow, My Slippers. I like the tan. They come in multiple colors. I like the tan. And I like the slip-ons. And the sale is unbelievable. Go to mypillow.com, click on the radio listener specials, and with our promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, is how you take advantage of this deal. The regular price for the My Pillow, My Slippers, $139.98. $139.98, right? Right now, with our promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E, and this is what I'm going to be paying for them. Not $139.98, just $49.98. Wow, right? That's $90 off. So it's a great deal. And of course, all the specials at mypillow.com you can take advantage of with our promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E. And this My Pillow, My Slipper offer, this is a great gift for Father's Day. There's not a MAGA dad out there that would not love a pair of Mike Lindell's My Slippers. Just $49.98, $90 off with our promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we've just scratched the surface. There is a lot more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. We will be back right after this quick break.
Are you ready to unleash the horror within? Author Alvin Schwartz has a few scary stories to tell, and they're available online at DLOZ.org. There you will find the best horror stories at great prices. So get ready to get your scare on with this spine-tingling 3-book set. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is the first in the series from author Alvin Schwartz. These popular books on American folklore are filled with tales of eerie horror and dark revenge that will make you jump with fright. Besides sending a chill up your spine, this book provides careful documentation, a list of sources, and useful bibliographies for the retold stories. Book 2 is titled More Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. And finally, Scary Stories 3, More Tales to Chill Your Bones. Order your set of these terrifying tales from author Alvin Schwartz online at DLOZ.org. An invisible enemy, a war between worlds, and only one man can prevent it all. Darkleash. Book 1 of the Darkleash series, Man of War, from author Brian R. Barton, is now available on Amazon. In Man of War, when an invisible ship starts attacking a growing coalition of planets, the panic-stricken leaders appoint Darkleash, a courageous and honorable soldier, to uncover its secrets. The ship's involvement with a spiteful and dangerous species, the Cardarian, with the survival of the entire galaxy at stake. As Darkleash and the authorities rack their brains for schemes on how to tackle the enemy, 4 emissaries are struck amidst unimaginable danger on the planet below, one of which may possess the power to turn the tides of the conflict. As the motives behind the attacks comes to light, stories of long-forgotten wars resurface, and secrets that can shake the foundations of history are unveiled. Order your copy of Man of War and embark on Darkleash's incredible journey in the first book of this action-packed series, and dare yourself to stop reading. Man of War from author Brian R. Barton. Order your copy right now on Amazon. From author and licensed psychotherapist France Lamore comes a book that's a blueprint to help readers live what you deserve, your best life. 7 life-giving words to live your best life. Available on Amazon. The author has witnessed firsthand the effects it takes to rise above everything that tries to keep us down. We want to live our best life, but sometimes we don't know how. Through 7 practical lessons and relevant scriptures on words of love, forgiveness, healing, salvation, authority, peace, and grace, 7 life-giving words to live your best life will breathe new resilience and energy into your daily walk and help you master the art of living your best life one day at a time. You can live your best life. Order your copy of 7 life-giving words to live your best life from licensed psychotherapist and author France Lamore. Available in Kindle and paperback on Amazon.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast. Broadcasting from sunny South Florida, Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. The other day, Kathy was watching a documentary, I guess it was on television or somewhere, about Teddy Roosevelt. Mm-hmm. And I have the most incredible. It's a 2-set autobiography set by a historian named Edmund Morris about Teddy Roosevelt. There's 2 volumes to the book. The first part is his life up until he becomes vice president, and the second volume is from the moment he becomes president, when President McKinley was assassinated, to the rest of his life. And I've had these books for years, and you wanted to read them, so I pulled them out of my storage of books. I'm not a big keeper of books, but there's some books I keep, even though they're in boxes in a closet, because they're so good, and you never know. They're important books. And this one, the second volume, and I actually got this book. I've had this book before I knew Kathy. We've been married it'll be 26 years in December. So I've had this book almost 30 years. Isn't that crazy? It's a long time to have a book like this. And I wanted to share something. I started reading it again, and I just opened it up to about 3/4 of the way through and just randomly started reading. And I was reading this particular part here. This was the first section I read, and let me read this. Now, the second volume of the book is titled Theodore Rex, and Edmund Morris was controversial. He was actually brought into the White House by Ron and Nancy Reagan to write an autobiography of President Reagan, and it was very controversial. The Reagans were very upset about it because he was talking about his Alzheimer's and stuff, his last years in the White House and everything. I don't know if you guys remember that, but these books are very good. And they're big books too. The print is very small. And this is 3/4 of the way into the second volume, and it's page 482. So these are bug killer books. Oh, yeah. And they're paperbacks. But anyway, so listen to this. Now, and remember, Teddy Roosevelt, the second coolest president, because Trump is the coolest. Before Trump, I always thought of Teddy Roosevelt as the coolest president ever. But now it's Trump, and Teddy Roosevelt's number 2. And, of course, Teddy Roosevelt was a Republican. Listen to this. A visitor to the White House found the president, that's Teddy Roosevelt, discussing race relations of a complex sort. For the last 4 months, yellow peril agitation had been violently resurgent in California, precipitated by the San Francisco Board of Education's decision to segregate Japanese school children. The segregation order made no distinction between the children of long-term Americanized Japanese residents, who were, Americans right at this point, and those of immigrant laborers fresh off the boat, currently disembarking or swimming ashore. Any child with slow eyes, S-L-O-E, is that slow? Mm-hmm. It's an old book, right? Any child with slow eyes on the West Coast would now learn what it was like to be a black child in Alabama. And President Roosevelt was talking with the senator and Congress people and from California and the mayor of San Francisco, who were segregating American children of Japanese descent so they didn't go to school. And, of course, what party were the segregationists in San Francisco? Democrats. Democrats. I mean, you look at every...
They're still segregationists.
Yeah, exactly. You look at every terrible thing in this nation's history that's happened, yep, and it's done by Democrats.
Yep, they enslaved people. They started the Civil War.
Exactly.
They're always creating problems.
Yeah.
Japanese internment.
Yeah, this segregation and Democrats, San Francisco,
destroyed the American family.
Yeah, and here
they destroy everything they touch, is what I always say.
And Teddy Roosevelt was the first president to have a black man over for dinner at the White House.
Yeah,
you guys probably didn't know that. And here he is trying to get the Democrats to integrate their public schools in San Francisco and throughout California, and they won't do it. And he's having a meeting at the White House over it. It just tells you. Okay, now Uvalde, Texas. Okay, the mom. We heard one story of a mother who drove to the school. She had 2 kids in the school. She went beyond the police barricades because the police would not go in, and she was handcuffed. She was arrested. And then she got them to take her out of handcuffs. And then she broke free from the police, ran inside the school, and saved her 2 children. You've heard this story. She gave an interview, which is the first interview I've heard with her. And I wanted to share it with you guys. And this is really disgusting because when this mother, the kids are inside and there's shooting going on. The cops are doing nothing. And this mother, who looks like she weighs about 95 pounds, she went in by herself, being chased by the police, who didn't follow her in, by the way, to save her children. And she gave an interview and she told the whole story. Listen.
Arrest you because you're being very uncooperative. I said, well, you're going to have to arrest me because I'm going in there, and I'm telling you right now, I don't see none of y'all in there. Y'all are standing with snipers and y'all are far away. If y'all don't go in there, I'm going in there. He immediately put me in cuffs.
She says after Uvalde police officers told marshals to uncuff Gomez, she ran towards the school.
As soon as they uncuffed me, I jumped that first gate fence, and once I jumped it, I went to my son's class. And I knocked on the door, and I remember the teacher saying, I'm like, hey, they're already bulge cutting the fence to get me. She's like, you think we have time to get out? I said, y'all have time. I'm going to run for my other son.
Once she was assured her son was okay, Gomez ran to get her other child, encountering more officers who tried to stop her.
So I start yelling, and I'm being a cop.
See, what's missing from this is there's lots of officers trying to stop this mom. Mm-hmm. There's no officers trying to stop the shooter.
No.
They're more concerned about the mom.
Exactly. Why are they all standing around bothering with the parents?
Yeah, this is the thing, okay? This is the thing. Police officers got a pretty good deal, right? It's a job that pays pretty well. If you're a police officer, you're not getting rich, right? You're not getting rich. But you're not living paycheck to paycheck either. And
Plus you get a good pension.
Well, that's the big payoff. That's the big payoff. But you don't need a lot of education to become a police officer. There's very good benefits. And many police officers retire when they're 50-ish and have a pension that takes care of them for the rest of their lives. In fact, sometimes police officers retire, get a full pension, and get a job at another police department and have a salary on top of the pension. My grandfather retired after 30 years with the police department, retired to Florida, and got a job as a deputy sheriff in Florida and had his pension plus a salary. This happens. And, every once in a while, you're called to run towards danger. And it doesn't happen very often for most officers, depending on where you work, certainly not in Uvalde, Texas. And this is an opportunity where they didn't do what they were supposed to do for these great benefits. They all should be, in my opinion, fired. All right, but back to this is the mom.
Once she was assured her son was okay, Gomez ran to get her other child, encountering more officers who tried to stop her.
So I start yelling, and I'm being cooperative, and I'm like, well, y'all aren't doing what are y'all doing? Y'all ain't doing y'all need to be in here. Give me your vest. Somebody give me a vest. Something. I started paying attention to how far the shots were being, so that I knew the shooter was all the way still by my first son's class. So when I went to my second son's door, the teacher didn't want to open the door for me. So that's when they started escorting me out. And as I see that they're opening my son's door, I go run for my son and I get him.
With both of her kids out safe, Gomez still can't shake the thought of those who didn't make it.
While you were inside the school, did you see officers
there was
inside
not one
the school?
Officer inside the school when I ran to my second son's class. There was not one officer.
And you were hearing gunshots, so you knew
you could hear the gunshots.
Was an active shooter.
It was still active. The gunshots were still active. They were not in there. There was no one in there. If anything, when I pulled out my...
See, obviously, the cops are scared, and they're using her as an excuse to run away from the shots, not go to the shooter.
The cops are scared. They have guns, and she's a 90-pound woman with no gun, and she's running in to save her kids, so she's brave as hell. I mean, they're a bunch of cowards.
Exactly.
Hearing gunshots, so you knew
you could hear the gunshots.
Was an active shooter.
It was still active. The gunshots were still active. They were not in there. Amazing. There was no one in there. If anything, when I pulled up, my car was closer to the school than where the snipers and everybody that was laying on the ground were.
When you heard that it took law enforcement 75 minutes before they went in and stopped the shooter, what was your thinking, having been inside the school yourself?
I don't know. I was just thinking that they could have saved many more lives. They could have gone into that classroom and maybe 2 or 3 would have been gone, but they could have saved a whole...
Yeah, they definitely could have saved lives.
The whole class. They could have done something. Gone through the window, sniped them through the window. I mean, something, but nothing was being done. If anything, they were being more aggressive on us parents that were willing to go in there. And like I told one of the officers, I don't need you to protect me. Get away from me. I don't need your protection. If anything, I need you to go in there with me to go protect my kids. And if anything, they were being more aggressive on us. They were more pertaining on keeping us back than getting into that school.
Yeah. The last two terrible tragedies, these school shootings, the last two big ones, Parkland here in our neck of the woods in Florida and this one in Texas, both the cops cowardly and hiding out, do not want to confront the shooter.
And could have saved more lives. And by the way, this woman also said she was threatened that if she talked to the media, she'd get in trouble.
She'd get arrested.
She was threatened not to talk to the press. She's a very brave woman. This woman should be like Mother of the Year and be on Time Magazine Person of the Year, because that's a very brave woman who's willing to sacrifice her life to save, which all mothers would do, I would think, to save her children and fathers. And you have a woman here who's very, a tiny woman, no gun, nothing on her, wearing a T-shirt and shorts probably, and running into a school with a shooter, an active shooter, to save her children. And you have about 100 cops standing around with their heads up their butts, doing absolutely nothing, armed to the teeth. It's a disgrace. And Bill Maher attacked those cops too. And by the way, they are taking no disciplinary action against the police chief. The school board has decided they're doing nothing to punish him, and he will be on the city council, and he will have to face. That's unconscionable to me. I can't believe that they're not going to punish that guy or fire him or remove him from his position that he was just elected to. I don't know what that's all about. I don't know how that's happening.
I don't know how Texas works, but I know how Florida works. And in Florida, after the Parkland shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, it came out that there were a lot of problems with the police, and Governor Ron DeSantis, who Joy Reid, right, the Grand Wizard of he's being groomed to be the Grand Wizard of the GOP. Governor Ron DeSantis used his authority as governor and removed from office the elected sheriff of the county whose police department was in charge of that school. Now, there was an appeal process for the sheriff and everything to appeal the decision of the governor. I don't know what the rules and the laws are in Texas. Texas has a lot of different rules because when they became a state, they were their own country, the Republic of Texas. So they got a lot of rules and things that other states don't have because they were in a strong position to negotiate their statehood. I don't know what kind of rules that Governor Abbott has. If he does not have the authority to remove these people, he should be on television demanding it.
Yeah, he should say I highly recommend
demanding, not recommend, demand
that they
fire all those cops
and fire the police chief especially,
and all those cops that didn't go in.
And not only is he not being punished or anything or fired, he's now on the city council and going to be a part of that.
Right.
I mean, he might even become mayor someday. That's nuts.
That's how crazy it is.
That is, well, this is a liberal city. And
Democrat part of Texas.
Part of Texas. And I don't know. I don't know what else to say about that.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Well, yeah, it should definitely happen. And that police department is not cooperating with federal investigators investigating the shooting.
I feel like I think there's a part of cops that are afraid to do things because of the culture we live in. I'm not excusing what they're doing, but police departments are very woke. It seems like they don't, like you said, your grandfather was a cop. It seems like they don't make cops like they used to. And I know they said that some of the cops that were outside that door were very frustrated because they weren't told not to do anything. I would think any cop would say, screw what you're telling me. We're going to go in and we're going to take care of this.
You would think.
But they're more afraid of saving their job and saving their ass than doing what's right. And everybody thinks that's a disgrace.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. Now, I want to take a moment to thank all of our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. Thank you so much. Your support of the program as a Patreon supporter helps us out a lot. It really, truly does. And there are benefits to becoming a Patreon supporter, including commercial-free editions of each and every podcast episode. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you on each and every episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Dee, Pamela, Chuck, Rick, Nick, and Rich. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you so much to all of you. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there is a link to our Patreon page in the description of this episode, as well as a direct link on my website, briancraigshow.com. The website address is patreon.com/realbriancraig. Patreon.com/realbriancraig. You click that link, you go there to walk you through how it works. It's pretty simple. We're going to take a break and be back. Don't go anywhere.
Everyone has a story to tell. We all experience hardships in life, but how people react to those hardships can determine who they are and their quality of life. The book from author Hannon Safe, Scattered Thoughts, available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, is an inspirational book that gathers moving stories of strength and survival. Stories of people whose battles did not define them, but instead propelled them forward to become who they are today, overcoming tremendous odds to end up being winners in the end. The people whose stories are written about are now happy and wish that you could end up with their results, wanting you to forgive yourself, love yourself, and most importantly, appreciate and know your worth. If you know anyone who could benefit from this book, it makes a great gift. Scattered Thoughts from author Hannon Safe, available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. Irish sea moss, Irish moss, sea moss, or wild crafted sea moss. People call it by all different names. The ebook, Miracle of the Sea, speaks about the impeccable product that has always been very popular in Ireland, the Caribbean, and amongst American Caribbean people, Irish sea moss. Irish sea moss became extremely popular due to its healing properties, which are a result of its high level of iodine. Sea moss has 92 out of 102 vitamins and minerals that the body needs and has been around for over 14,000 years. That's right, since 600 BC. Irish sea moss helps with natural energy. It can be used in coffee and tea or consumed by itself because it's a gel. It can be used with any recipe, shake or smoothie, and boost energy, as well as helps in curbing the appetite. It can also aid in thyroid support, help build muscle, boost the immune system, help with infertility, and a whole lot more. This must-read book explains the origin, benefits, and uses, and includes recipes. All this for just $2.99. Miracle of the Sea, available online at organicseamoss.shop, Amazon, and also on Etsy. Just search SEBI Holistic Garden. It's all one word on Etsy.com. Order your copy of Miracle of the Sea and begin your journey with Irish sea moss. Summertime's right around the corner. Are you ready for your summer vacation in the Great Smoky Mountains? Did you know that the Great Smoky Mountains is the most popular national park? It has everything you and your family are looking for this summer. The Dollywood theme park, walk the trails, mountain biking, there's even a waterfall, outdoor rafting, horseback riding, fishing, and that's just the beginning. You can have it all. And there's no better way to enjoy the Great Smoky Mountains than staying in a beautiful sky view log cabin. Imagine waking up with the sunshine shining through the massive glass windows, having your morning coffee on the balcony, and enjoy the natural beauty around you, and have all the modern amenities too. A private hot tub, fireplace, a pool table, and more. Visit skyviewvacation.com and book your accommodations right now. skyviewvacation.com.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. Broadcasting from sunny South Florida, Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. I want to make an announcement that I meant to make at the beginning of the show, and I forgot. And it's an important announcement. So I'll probably have to make this announcement again a couple times. I want to make sure everyone hears this. This is a very important announcement. This is something I just found out about yesterday. If you get any email communication claiming to be me or Kathy, it is not us, okay? There's only a couple ways that I communicate with people, okay? Some people that listen to the program have my cell phone number or Kathy's, and we directly text message. If you have those numbers, you know who you are. Not many people have them, but they do. And the only other way that I communicate through people typically is a DM on Twitter, sometimes Instagram, but mostly Twitter. People DM me on Twitter a lot. I do not communicate through email.
Unless somebody emails you first, then you respond. But Brian and I never go out never email somebody first.
No, we don't
communicate that way.
If anyone is communicating with you through email claiming to be me or Kathy, it is not us. Okay. No. And I wanted to make that announcement at the beginning of the show, and I forgot. But I'm going to make that announcement probably next week a few times because I want to make sure that everyone hears that.
Yeah, we've just gotten wind of a few things.
Yeah, so. I just found it yesterday, and it was a little disturbing to me.
Yeah.
I was
just be careful.
I was just reading in Mediaite. Now Mediaite's very left wing. Okay, so just so you understand, because it's left wing, but but they do have a story here that's true. They just have a liberal spin on it because they're enjoying it. Despite a heavy promotional tour, Kellyanne Conway's book sold just 25,000 copies in its first week, which is still 100 times more than Meghan McCain's book sold in its debut. Kellyanne Conway embarked on an explosive spray of media appearances to promote her book, Here's the Deal, which is 500 pages long. Oh, my goodness. Includes lots of tell-all dish about the inner circle.
It's as big as Bill Clinton's book.
But little in the way of criticism of President Trump, because there's nothing to criticize with President Trump. But here's the thing, okay? I don't know if 25,000 copies is low for this type of book. Here's the thing with, I'm assuming it is. Here's the thing with all of these political books that Kellyanne Conway and Meghan McCain are writing. Kellyanne Conway and Meghan McCain and other people like her put everything on social media. They're always tweeting and everything else. So there's really nothing for them to say that we haven't heard them talk about on Twitter or on a television interview already. And when they put books out, there's nothing new in there. And then when they go on these book tours, all the juicy stuff from the book is brought up in their interview, and people are like, well, why do I need to buy the book? I saw the interview with Kellyanne Conway, and they went over everything in the book.
Plus, I think people are tired of these Trump books. Not tired of Trump, but they're tired of these Trump books. They all write about Trump to get people to buy them. And I think there's just an oversaturation of these books, whether they're good or bad. I mean, everybody that's worked for him has written a book now.
Well,
Bill Barr, Mark Meadows, Peter Navarro. I just think there's a lot.
Well, Kellyanne Conway, though, she said some things about Trump, and Trump said a while back, about a week ago, they were not true.
Like what'd she say?
I can't remember offhand what they were, but he said they were not true. And that doesn't help.
To everything.
And she wrote a book that's 500 pages long.
That's too much.
I mean, come on, you know. But these politicians, because they're on social media nonstop, I think people say to themselves, "What is in this book that they haven't been tweeting about for years?"
Does MAGA like Kellyanne Conway? Because
I'm suspicious of her.
The liberals don't like her, so they're not going to buy her book. Does MAGA like her? I mean, she's kind of like Megyn Kelly.
Well, her
she's kind of
husband
in
is a
between
problem.
that area where it's like the liberals hate her, but then people on Fox started to hate her. So what audience does she even have? She quit the administration like in December the last year because her husband and her daughter were just ridiculous. And I think that MAGA just doesn't trust or like Kellyanne Conway.
I don't trust Kellyanne Conway.
So I don't either. So
I don't trust her.
How can you trust a woman whose husband was saying those horrible things? So she doesn't have an audience for her book. And neither does Meghan McCain. And nobody cares she's a spoiled brat. Nobody cares what she says. And she was on The View every day talking, like you said, and on social media. Yawn. But I think Kellyanne Conway, I think she has probably an interesting story to tell because she definitely had Trump's ear. But I don't really like Kellyanne Conway anymore. And I think she doesn't have an audience. There's an oversaturation.
And there's another thing, too. In the past, when a president has left office and their staff writes books, things were a little more secretive. President Trump tells you everything that's going on every minute of every day. So there's nothing that Kellyanne Conway can share that we don't know about.
Yeah, they're on Twitter so much. They tell you every day what's going on or what's happening or their thoughts on things. So when they come out with a book, there's nothing new. There's nothing novel that we haven't heard already.
Right. Now, the economy is, you guys know the state of the economy. There are certain things, though, that even in a bad economy don't suffer and do well typically. But things are so bad during the Biden economy, things that normally weather any economic storm are hurting. There's a article in the New York Post today Listen to this. OnlyFans models and sex workers feel the pinch of a sluggish economy.
Oh, no.
And let me read through this story.
What's a girl to do?
I guess get a job, you know.
I think those girls are disgusting.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
The economy has been hard on one particular sector. This is in today's New York Post. Sex workers who say high inflation.
Cry me a river.
Yeah, sex workers who say high inflation has forced their clients to cut back on discretionary spending.
I guess so, yeah. That makes sense.
Allie Ray, a 38-year-old woman who left her $84,000 a year nursing job
Oh, my goodness.
to earn a monthly six-figure income on OnlyFans, told the New York Post that she and other online creators have seen their incomes take a hit recently.
I just can't believe the amount of money that men spend on pornography.
Are there guys on OnlyFans too, though?
Not many. She makes six figures a month. This is one person. One person makes six figures a month on OnlyFans. How much money is this website, this app bringing in? I mean, I can't believe how much money people spend on pornography.
It's crazy.
It's such a waste
Well, usually
of money. It's incredible.
Pornography and alcohol and illegal drugs, those businesses do well in bad economies. Not this time. She says this, many top creators, they call themselves creators now, porn people, pornographers. Many top creators are hurting really bad, she says. During the pandemic,
Creators.
during the pandemic,
like they're artists or something.
Yeah. During the pandemic, she earned as much as $200,000 a month. She told the New York Post that her income has fallen 25% in recent weeks. Other OnlyFans performers have seen their incomes drop as much as 50%. She says, my traffic has been down a lot. I'm working harder than I ever have been. She's
working harder at doing what?
She's used
taking off her clothes.
Yeah, she's used some of her OnlyFans earnings to create her crypto-friendly platform for erotic performers. She told the New York Post that as one of the top earners on the site, she can withstand slowdowns. For those at the bottom, however, they may have to find new lines of work. This is going to weed out small-level creators, that are not going to be able to withstand the race, she says. If they're not thinking about other endeavors, they soon will be, because a lot of people don't have that extra income. Other OnlyFans models have said they've noticed similar trends. One says, I've seen a huge dip in spenders recently. My whale tippers haven't been online as often, and I'm getting more freeloaders on my page, okay? Reddit forums frequented by sex workers who service clients at brothels said they've seen their workload at the brothels decrease significantly in recent weeks. One brothel worker says this, quote, I just sat at the broth. I guess that's what they call broths.
That's disgusting.
That's what she says.
Oh my God. I feel so sorry for these women.
Right, I've never heard that slang before. She said, I just sat at the broth for 6 hours with 0 clients, says one anonymous sex worker on Reddit.
How many clients would she normally see in those 6 hours?
I'm
curious.
Well, I wish that's a good question.
I would love to know.
It makes me feel ugly and that I'm not good enough to be booked.
How can a woman do this for a living? I don't understand how a woman could just sleep with 10 guys every day.
Another sex worker responded, this is on Reddit.
Unbelievable.
Same at my broth. I'm only getting bookings here and there from my regs. The economy is going to S. World War III potential. Inflation out of control.
I'm sorry, I can't help but laugh. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Brothel workers are worried about their finances.
I guess Joe Biden's going to lose the brothel unions.
Well,
and the sex worker unions.
Well, Hunter Biden, I'm sure his spending hasn't slowed down at the broth.
He's kept quite a few in business in his time, I'm sure. But it's amazing. You're right. It's discretionary money. And people are having to actually, these husbands and some wives and women are going to have to spend their money feeding their kids and buying gas to get to work instead of slipping $10 a month to watch some 18-year-old take off her clothes. It's pathetic.
This woman was 38 years old.
Oh my goodness. That's just, her kids must be so proud of her.
And she was a nurse, so she's got a college degree. I know, it's a crazy world.
It is a crazy world. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm a prude in some ways, but I just don't respect people who do that for a living, and I don't respect the people that patronize those things. I think it hurts our civility. I think it's disgusting. It contributes to the demoralization of the country and of the world. It's totally against the Bible. And how can you do something like that and be a moral good person? I'm sorry, the two do not go hand in hand. And it's contributing to so many problems in our society. How many kids, I don't know how it works with OnlyFans. You could say you're 18. How many young guys and girls are on that website that are 14, 15 years old that are watching that kind of smut? It's disgusting. It's so easily accessible.
Now. And I bet,
I don't feel sorry for any of these.
I bet
bags.
I bet it has like this between the pandemic and OnlyFans, the strip clubs must be like almost all out of business.
Well, I don't know how they survived the pandemic exactly. Well, I have some interesting news. My mom just told me.
Going from brothels and OnlyFans to talking about your mother? That's some transition, Kathy.
My mom just sent me a link. Her old house is an Airbnb house now. The house she lived in before.
Oh, my goodness.
In Plantation is an Airbnb house now. It's all fixed up, really, really nice. And I guess it's not like in a fancy, like near the beach area. It's in a regular suburban neighborhood, but it's a big house, but it has now been bought. And instead of, I guess, renting it out, like a normal renter, I guess people make more money doing Airbnbs.
You know what we should do? We should get together with your mom and we should rent her old house for a night.
I'm going to tell her she should rent it out one night.
Let's go. We'll go over.
I think that'd be hilarious. She lived there a long time.
Go stay at her old house.
How would that make you feel if your old house that you lived in for 10, 15 years, say we moved, and then somebody bought this house and turned it to an Airbnb? That would be a weird thing for me.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, it's weird.
It's a nice house, but it's still not like right on the ocean or anything. It's about 15 minutes from the
don't
beach.
like this idea of people turning their private homes into Airbnbs because I've read a lot of articles about this happening with people, and the neighbors hate it because there's people coming and going that are there one night, two nights. You don't know anything that's going on.
I guess it's more lucrative than renting your home, and maybe it's easier, but I would think it'd be aggravating to deal with new people all the time and
every once in a while
maintaining that.
I've
never see how much it costs.
I've never stayed in an Airbnb because I don't feel safe staying in an Airbnb. I just don't feel safe. And if I travel somewhere,
oh, wow, it looks totally different.
I've got my computer and my iPad. I don't feel safe like leaving it there. But every once in a while, I'll download the Airbnb app on my phone and see if there's any Airbnbs like in our neighborhood, and there are not in our development, which is a good thing as far as I'm concerned.
So it costs $210 a night.
Oh my God! I don't want to pay $210 a night to stay at your mom's old house.
$200 a night.
We used to stay there for free. I'm not going to pay $200
before taxes. Oh my
fees.
Gosh, they're making money.
Oh my goodness! Do you get the whole house?
You get the whole house, and so if you rent it for 4 nights with taxes, that's almost $900.
Oh my goodness!
That's about $900 for. I guess they have the same taxes like a hotel, which is like 11 or 12%. But anyway, to rent it for 4 nights before taxes is $840. That's more than renting it, I would think. I don't know. The house like that would go for about these days probably $3,500 a month.
Having an Airbnb though seems like a big hassle. People coming and going.
I would think it'd be a bigger hassle than just having one renter for a year. But if you can get $200 a night, that's could be up to $5,000-$6,000 a month.
I don't know. You guys let us know if you would stay in one, or I'm sure some of you have stayed in Airbnbs. I just don't feel.
I bet
safe.
my mom is going to rent one night and
for
stay
$210.
She's going to pay her doing that.
She's going to pay $210 to stay at her old house for one night. That's crazy.
Crazy. I could see my mom doing that. Would you do that?
I know your mother. She'll go through the whole. I'll tell all the neighbors. I used to own this house. I used to live here.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Oh man. Well, listen, we're all out of time, but we will be back next time. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks so much, everyone, for listening. And hold on a second before we go. Mary Tyler Moore is trending. Did she die? Hold on, let me check.
I think she's already dead, honey.
Yeah, she died a long time ago, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, she died in, I don't know when. But why is she trending?
For a while. I know. Whenever you see an older celebrity trending, everybody always thinks they're dead.
I don't know. I don't know why she's trending. I can't make sense of it. Just people talking about Mary Tyler Moore. Well, anyway, that'll be the big mystery. We'll talk to you guys next time. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll talk to you next time.
Are you an experienced songwriter or just starting out as a musician and looking for that perfect melody? The book from author Paul Wright, The Songwriting Magic Formula, will teach you to instantly compose hit vocal melodies with the backing chords at the same time. In this must-read book, you will learn how to instantly create riffs, hooks, and hit vocal melodies. It's an interactive book that dispels the myths of songwriting and destroys the negatives that hold songwriters back and ends songwriters' block in melody. You may have read books on songwriting, but this book brings up every melody ever written and every melody yet to be written. A lot of people have their own ideas on what the songwriting magic formula is. The songwriting magic formula offers the tips and tricks that no one has ever told you about. This book also makes a great gift for the musician in your life. Order your copy right now. The Songwriting Magic Formula from author Paul Wright on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, Audible, and over 40 other online audio bookstores right now.